So this is what you miss on lab. There's this thing called the bubonic plague that's killing thousands of people. Well, one person at the moment. And it's giving these people lots of months and stuff.
Go on. Without me. It's gonna be okay.
So they're blaming the gods and heavens. I don't think it's working. So they're trying to find a cure.
Did you find it?
Find what?
Not here.
Regardless of what it is. And that's what you miss on... My fellow students, it is my job to inform you that there has been this gruesome pandemic that's been going on all around the world, including Asia, Europe, and Madagascar. Well, not Madagascar, but you know what I mean. What is this disease, you may be wondering? Well, it's called the bubonic plague, also known as... What is the bubonic plague? A disease that is derived from the bacteria infection called the Yersinia pestis, which is usually found in unsanitary animals such as squirrels, prairie dogs, rats, and mostly rats. It is the most common plague that refers to the bibos, which is the derived name from the painful swollen lymph nodes that are usually found in numerous places of the body that are swollen and painful. 2. The history of the plague. It has been known for thousands of years, and the main origin was other than China when the Mongol Empire was hit by the treacherous disease until it hit Europe. The population of Europe came from 25 to 50 million people in Europe, causing it for 1/3 of the deaths happened in Europe. It all started in 1347, however, when merchants started getting the guggy disease from the Asian continent. The ships sailed from one continent, from one town to another, and it just spread, mostly from Europe and the Genoa continent. All of this has spread in the virus basically from the fleas, and basically from the rats. The rats is what the unsanitariness from the people made the rats unsanitary, and since the rats were unsanitary, it made the fleas unsanitary. So that's what made the whole plague just it's one pandemic. 3. Why is it called the... Actually, it has various names, but mostly just 2. The Black Plague and the Black Death. From the creative people in the world, the origin of the name actually came from black swellings of the body called the buboes, which is the arranged name from the bubonic plague. And that's the black swellings are usually located in the armpits, the legs, the neck, different parts of the body, and it has a hard rock feeling, and it just killed people. 4. Symptoms of the bubonic plague, or the... Usually there are different symptoms of the bubonic plague, which can be tender,
high fever,
chills,
headache,
hemorrhage under skin. Wait.
The incubation period of the plague. Usually when a person becomes ill with the bubonic plague, it usually takes 2 to 6 days after being infected. When the bubonic plague is left untreated, plague bacteria invade the bloodstream. When plague bacteria multiply into the bloodstream, they spread rapidly through the body and cause a severe and often fatal condition. Infection of the lungs with the plague bacterium causes the zoonotic form of plague, severe respiratory illness. The infected person may experience high fever, chills, cough, breathing difficulty, and expel bloody septum. If plague patients are not given antibiotic therapy, the disease can progress rapidly to death. 6. How is it usually spread? Usually spread by having an unsanitary environment. Animals such as rats carry the infection with the flies that are just infested into their body, and usually the bite of the fly that just digs into the human skin usually spreads like wildfire. But if it's a human spread, it's usually spread by 3 ways. Airborne, direct contact, or uncooked food. Wow, people are really. 7. How was the Black Death treated back then? Usually it was treated by a lot of medical doctors. Mostly a lot of them were professional, and they actually had an idea of what they were doing, but didn't really know what the origin of the problem was. So there were many factors that a lot of people had during the bubonic plague that just caused them a lot of problems. One of them was headache, stomach aches, and wound infections. Usually when a headache is being treated, smelling herbs such as rose, lavender, sage and bay were put onto the forehead to reduce the pain, also to reduce fever. For the stomach, you were usually treated by wormwood, mint.
Okay.
As for wounds, it was usually treated by vinegar. It was used to be a cleansing agent. How is it treated now? Usually, just by being clean. You know, people nowadays are just like, you know, be clean. They always have the hand sanitizers everywhere.
Clean. Antibiotics!
Also, if you're traveling or going off to an infected area, it's usually good to have a vaccination before you go. Where you're going?
I'm traveling to Africa where diseases are. Oh yeah.
You know you need a vaccination, right?
What are you talking about?
9. How it can be prevented. The Black Death of the Middle Ages was usually due to a lot of rat infection from large numbers of rodents hidden in the sewers, infesting on homes and workplaces, and they're all over the place. It's mostly derived from urban places. One is controlling the rat population. The more rats you kill, the less likely you could have an infected disease. 2, watching the plague cases in both rats and humans around the area. You'll never know if the person right next to you could have an infected disease. The last thing is treating your pets and looking out for fleas. If you ever find fleas in your pets, well...
Oh, you like that, don't you? Oh, what's this? Oh, we have fleas. Hold on.
10. Ring Around the Rosie. Song goes like this.
Ring around the rosy, pocket full of posies, ashes, the ashes, we all fall.
The song was originated from the bubonic plague for children to keep themselves happy. Basically what the rosy is usually the red ring that appears on your body. The pockets in Pocket Full of Posies are basically the black bubbles. Once the person has died, they're usually buried and burned to death. Misconceptions about the plague. First, the misconception is the gods feel like they're being punished for their sins, or because they're a bad person.
Why did you punish me and give me the Black Plague?
The second misconception is witchcraft, because it was considered to be called dark magic. Dark magic equals evil, and witchcraft equals evil, so they believe that people who have witchcraft wizardry going on...
Guardian Leviosa.
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
My bad.
Last misconception is... Actually, it's not a misconception. It's actually a conception from Monty Python, the Holy Grail. It was usually from the beginning of the scene where they're just like, bring your dead. It's basically making fun of the Black Plague because a lot of people dropping dead. The conception of that video was to make the audience understand that a lot of people die from a very serious illness.